There's something to be said about BMW M models, particularly this 2013 F10 M5. In my opinion, it's the last of an era. Rear-wheel drive, hydraulic steering, and a twin-turbo S63 V8. Most importantly, the presence of physical buttons in the interior helps retain a true connection with the car, unlike newer models. Join me as I meticulously restore the mechanical components piece by piece and bring this beautiful example back to its former glory. So one of the bigger issues right now that I want to deal with is also this breather system. So I'm going to start off by removing these turbo inlet housings and getting these breathers kind of disconnected from here. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I'm going to be swapping these hood struts out anyway, but still not to damage them. Put a little paper here and just get the vice grip on there to protect my head from getting pummeled. So okay. Getting that top T30 bolt is easy, but there's another one kind of buried down there. I'm going to use a universal joint to get to that, but for now I'll just disconnect this kind of broken already breather. Oh, there we go. Broke right off. So I can't find my 1/4 inch, actually my 3/8 universal bit, so I cobbled together this little 1/4 inch adapter to the 3/8 Torx T30 that I have, and now I gotta try to fish it down there and get this other T30 out. Let's see. It would help if this universal bit was kind of a little bit more steady, but let me see. If not, I'm gonna have to put a piece of tape on it to get it to stay. Yeah, let me try that. All right, so the final method I think is gonna be throwing a little tape on one of these universal bits. Kind of helps keep it straight and gives you enough bend to kind of not let the tool flop around down there. Let's see if this works. Let me get a light. I think that'll help. All right. All right, time to think of plan B. Let me see. All right, if this doesn't work, then I gotta figure out a totally different solution or just take those out after these charge pipes are out. But I do have a 1/4 inch T27 Torx bit, and I found a slightly less worn out 1/4 inch universal bit. Let's see if that works. It should be good enough to take it out. And I think, yep. As I'm poking around down here, I definitely do see I definitely do see a lot more oil leakage, and these valve covers are definitely leaking somewhere. It was that and the breather system. So this wasn't even tight. Great. Okay, drop that. I'll get that in a bit with a magnet. And now you can see this part comes out, and there's a little bit of oil in there, but nothing too crazy. Turbo seems okay as well. I'm gonna change all of these O-rings and seals and whatever I can get my hands on at this point. All right, let's do the other side. Got it. All right, I'll get you in a little closer here and you get to see. There's the turbo inlet side, and you can see that O-ring there is definitely worn out. Probably not sealing as it should be, and letting either air in, letting hopefully not contaminants in, and I'm gonna replace all that stuff. But I think this issue with the oil leak might be mainly because of that and not really valve covers seals. So I'm gonna have to dig into that a little more as I take this apart. Here's the other side. I'm gonna get to this now. But yeah, so far here we are. And here's this busted PCV hose that I just broke, but it was definitely super brittle, I guarantee you. See? So that's all gonna get swapped out. Give it a shot with this T27 on that lower one, like on the other side. This one might be a little more difficult because it's farther down, but I can get my finger on the other side. All right. The alternator positive. I do not want to touch that, so I'm gonna leave this guy for later. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is just raise the car up, get the coolant out of here, probably drain the oil. If not, maybe I'll just wait for that a little later and start getting all of these components apart in front. The intercoolers, the radiator support. I'm gonna pull the bumper and kind of get this thing down to bare essentials here so I can have access to everything I need for inspection and replacement of parts. So let's get to it. Now that the car is up in the air, I can definitely see that there's a leak down here, oil leak coming from somewhere. I did notice when I first got the car that it had a slight leak, but I cleaned everything up and kind of waited to do what I'm doing now and recheck it. and there definitely is a leak. So what I'm gonna do now is remove this entire front splash shield underneath the bumper, drain the coolant, and then pull the bumper entirely so I can get better access to everything. So let's do it. So since I know I'm gonna have to drain this oil at some point, I'm just gonna do it now, kind of get it out of the way. And while I do that, I'm also gonna catch a sample for Blackstone Laboratories. I did this when I first got the car, and the analysis came out great. I mean, it's only been probably, I don't even know, less than 1,000 miles since I did that last analysis, but I guess it's gonna be worth kind of seeing what the condition of the oil is since I replaced it. So here we go. Kind of wanna catch it midstream. Go. Okay. Got it right here. I should have opened the oil fill cap to let this drain a little quicker, but it's okay. The main reason I want to do this also now is because I want to remove the oil cooler that sits right behind the front bumper. Kind of get that out of the way as well, inspect it, possibly replace it if need be. And I don't know where this oil is coming from that's collected on the bottom of the pan. I don't know if that's a rear main seal leak or it's a lower oil pan gasket. I mean, just for good measure, I might do the lower oil pan gasket while I'm doing all this stuff, just because it's actually not that difficult on this car and it'll be good peace of mind. But I guess I'll check that when the time comes. For now, it's just drain the oil. I'm gonna pull the oil filter, let that drain as well. And then we'll continue to the front. now that I have the oil drained, I'm gonna start with this. It's the transmission cooler now. So what I'm gonna do is just remove both fittings here so the oil could drain, and then I can remove that. Change all the O-rings as well. Again, this is just more kind of preventative maintenance than anything. Kind of check the condition of the cooler itself. Okay, that oil looks gross. Okay, let that drain a little bit. While that's draining, I will disconnect this side and set up this other catch pan underneath. And I misspoke before, I said transmission oil cooler. This is the engine oil cooler. Okay, spread this apart a little easier. There we go. Not what I wanted to do, but all right, we'll let both of those drain and I'll go clean up. All right, while those are draining, I will disconnect the mount from the cooler itself, and then I'll just let the cooler kind of live in the drain bucket here for a couple of days. Let it completely empty. Then I do inspection, and then we decide if we want to replace it or not. Definitely has a big capacity in this cooler. I'm surprised how these cars run as hot as they do, even with all of this cooling capacity. All right. Bolts are a little rusty. I don't know if you could see that, but where they go through the cooler itself, it's definitely rusty. I'm gonna wind up replacing all of these fasteners that need it. So, all right, so we're pretty much drained. Drop this down. Again, let this thing drain for the next day or so and make sure it's fully empty, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so I think the next best thing to do here, I think to get the best access, is going to be to remove that front bumper, which will mean I got to pull the front wheels off and start disassembling the hardware. All right, I usually don't like removing wheel lugs with impact. I like to do it with just with a really long breaker bar and then remove them with this, but seeing as I'm gonna be replacing these lugs anyway, just gonna go for it. I don't like that they're kind of stuck either. Back in. Okay. Careful, I don't want to hit the brake calipers. Somebody already chipped a little bit of the color in the past. All right, there's one. Oh yeah, now I do remember I did clean these up a bit and put some anti-seize, but it's gonna need a better, more thorough cleanup this time around. Okay, let's go to the other side. aftermarket carbon fiber scoops now as well. I guess oh, it's a Phillips head. I will probably polish these up and put them back in. I guess they do serve a purpose, get more kind of velocity into the intake track. So. These are just supported here by these two little cross members. Yeah, these support bars are really kind of weathered and not oxidized, just the paint is kind of faded. I'll probably have these re-powder coated. Bring it to my my good friends at Quality Powder Coating in Queens. Make those look like new, because you can kind of see them through the grills. So. Issue removing this support here, because I guess the last person that worked on this car, I don't know, they either cross-threaded this going in and broke the insert behind it, or I don't know what they did. So I'm just gonna remove this whole kind of cross member here by taking off these 4 bolts, 2 on this side and 2 on the other, and it should come apart all in one piece. So let's get that done. These 4 T30 bolts here. Those kind of just support it onto the hood lock mechanism. Get those out. Okay, with all those out, this should come out. Let's see. There we go. So we have the hood release cable that gets supported by these clips here. Let me just take a quick picture. Okay. And that pops out. Perfect. Okay, so this kind of gives us access to the cooling package here, which is the main coolant radiator, and then the AC condenser in front of it. Before I remove the AC condenser though, I have to evacuate the system, and I am chasing a slight leak in the AC system. I was hoping I would find damage or something to this condenser in the front, but I don't see anything. The compressor doesn't have anything wrong with it. I really don't want to pull that evaporator on the inside of the car, but if I have to, I will. I guess when the time comes, I'll just deal with it then. But for now, just continue kind of peeling away at this. And this is more for restoration purposes than anything. I want to kind of redo all of the plastics or clean them, recoat them, reseal them, whatever I have to do to make them look brand new again. And anything that's metallic, that's removable, that I need to repowder coat, I'll do that. Again, if there's any issues with the radiators, I will replace them through FCP Euro. But the car drove great beforehand, other than I think it was a rich code on bank 1, which I think is because of a loose boost clamp. So I guess I'm gonna track that down. Another thing I wanna check is, I don't know if it's me or I'm crazy, but I think I hear a slight like whine coming from the front of this car, and it might be the alternator bearing. So I want to kind of check all the bearings and everything too, take the belts off again, which is why I want to clear the front of this car out so I have as much access to the front of the engine as possible, so I can kind of check everything, clean everything, and replace anything that's necessary. All right, I think before I go any further here, I'm gonna have to disconnect the battery just so I'm not, I'm not putting the electrical system in danger by shorting anything to ground. So let me just do that really quick. Okay. All this stuff out. All right, so somebody's been back here and the hardware that holds this piece down is missing. So I'm definitely gonna track down a new trunk kind of floor here. So there's supposed to be some plastic nuts that hold these down, and they're no longer there. Okay, get a 10mm and disconnect that. Okay, I have all the windows open. I'm going to put something here at the latch so I make sure that if the trunk does happen to close, which I doubt because it's hydraulic, that it doesn't lock on me and then I can't get to the battery to reconnect it. All right, so we're free here. Put it down there. When's this battery from? It is an AC Delco. I don't see a date code anywhere, but it does look relatively new. I think the previous owner mentioned that he replaced it not that long before he sold the car. So looks like we're good here. I'll just leave that like that for now. All right, so I won't be able to get the AC machine until Monday. Today's Saturday. And I need to do that to kind of free up the cooling package here. So I guess I will end this video off by removing the headlights and kind of going over what I did and what's left to do. So let's start getting these headlights out and we'll take it from there.